Are you feeling a little stressed out or just generally uneasy? If so, that sucks. And if you're not quite sure what the source of that stress is, maybe it's because you're just a little too trendy. Now, being a channel ultimately about paint and anything paint related, a large portion of our content is about paint colors from various companies and how to put them together to form cohesive looks. This often relates to me putting together curated lists of colors that I like to use, but also talk about colors that other people use. But ultimately, as fun and exhilarating as interior decorating is, it can also be pretty stressful for a lot of people. So if you're feeling a bit stressed in your home, and your family's great, and your job's going really well, maybe your interior decor could be the issue. Your home should be the place where you can unwind and decompress, or as I like to call, just flop out. So if things aren't under control, what do you have left? You may not realize it, but elements of your interior decor can contribute to your feelings of stress and even get so bad as to develop into legitimate anxiety. I've been there, trust me. It can happen in the nicest of homes with tons of space that are super open concept and what are otherwise considered great decorating ideas in their own right, but maybe they just don't seem to mesh well in your space. Whether it's the decorating mix or due to the passage of time, these are 3 interior decorating mistakes that can quite easily stress you out. The first one is a variation on the concept of clutter. Now you may be thinking, come on, James, you can do better than that. Clutter? That's an obvious one. In design though, there's something that's called unintentional clutter that may seem really clean and thought out, but can ultimately backfire in the grand scheme of things. Let's start with an example. Gallery walls. They're still quite popular in today's day and age, whether you combine works of art, family photos, and mementos, or an eclectic mix of things. When you're done, it looks great, right? You got a wonderful combination of shapes, forms, colors. It's a good look. But as time goes on, those gallery walls or those cabinets that are just loaded with stuff can actually become overstimulating. Maybe those pieces you selected don't necessarily have the same sort of impact or relevance they once did when you first put them all together. It's not like they lost their meaning, but maybe the color scheme or the materials that you incorporated are just not your cup of tea anymore. You may not acknowledge that consciously, but subconsciously, every time you pass by that, you might think in the back of your mind somewhere, I should really change that up. But you don't, because you're stressed out. You probably have way more important things to worry about than spending a weekend trying to rearrange items on a shelf. This is especially true in our constantly connected digital age that we live in, where we are always indulging in new products, new services, and new ideas. It's a bit of a design overload at our fingertips, so try not to have that same feeling translate into your own decor. You can avoid unintentional clutter by giving everything in your decor a bit of breathing room and balance. Think less is more to start. And if you do love those maximalist, more is good ideas, just check in once in a while and see if it's still resonating with you, or perhaps it's time for a little bit of editing. That's how I like to look at it. Just a bit of an edit, a bit of a tweak, a tinker, not a full-on redesign, because that's stressful. The second stress-inducing interior decor dilemma a lot of people face is they overdo it with popular paint colors. Just like I said at the beginning of this video, maybe you're just too trendy. You're too cool for school, man. Now, I read all your comments down below, and I'll continue to do so. And what I've noticed is a lot of people don't agree with popular trends for several reasons. I do talk about trends quite a bit on this channel, especially around this time of year where there's all of those color of the year announcements happening, which is super awesome. But I also realize how important it is not to conflate color trends as the go-to must-use colors moving forward. One does not really equal the other to me. I just think that color trends are something to be acknowledged, more so as a brainstorming exercise and not feel like you need to be tethered to the new colors. It just seems to be like, if it's a color or a palette or a style that you really vibe with, then that's awesome. Brand new idea that you can now input into your own home. Overall, I think it's always interesting to see what the professional paint companies predict the trendy colors will be. But that's a very important consideration to keep in mind. You, of course, don't want to feel compelled to repaint your home every year with the latest colors. If you enjoy that, then by all means, but for most people, it's probably not a good look for several reasons. First, you kind of get into a habit of letting other authorities dictate your own taste in a certain way, but more importantly, a lot of the colors of the year that are selected aren't even thought of as a main wall paint color in a lot of cases. Just because sage green is the in color doesn't mean that that's now going to be your hallway color. Oftentimes, paint companies will introduce some really adventurous, trendy color picks, like some of those PPG colors we talked about the other day, some of those deep pinks and teals. They'll look good when you first use them, but those bolder colors can get in your face after a while. And even lighter colors and a lighter textureless minimal decor can be sleek on first glance, but too much so to be comfortable in the long run. If you don't want to have to repaint every couple years, maybe take a peek at the color trends, let them marinate, but really come back to what you really like. I know, easier said than done. My third and final, probably most important tip on this list has actually little to do with paint, believe it or not, but it can do wonders for your decor. You put together a really well thought out design for your space, and maybe you even picked a few bold colors that you really gravitate towards, and you just feel that there's something missing. That thing is probably a lack of greenery. By adding some plant life in a space, you're quite literally injecting life into your space. Also aesthetically, lush green leaves will look great with nearly any color scheme you can think of. If you know me, you know I'm a big fan of green. And that doesn't start and end with paint colors. It's also influenced by my love of nature and plant life. You don't even need to have a green thumb and be some sort of master gardener. You can opt for some more hardier, more resistant plants like my boy Yucca over there. Just make sure to not water it too much because you don't want those roots to rot. Just make sure to do at least some research on how to properly care for your plants because a dying plant is also quite stressful. I just want you all to feel happy in your home. So it's always nice to check in with you folks to see how things are going. I hope you're enjoying this slightly different style of content we're trying to put out. We also have quite a bit of content on Instagram that you can check out whenever you feel like it. Stay tuned.